How does a dream collaboration, a film destined for greatness, end up as a colossal disappointment? Thug Life wasn't supposed to be just another movie. It was the monumental reunion of the legendary director Mani Ratnam and the iconic Kamal Haasan, a full 38 years later after they delivered Nayakan, a film that remains the undisputed benchmark for Indian gangster dramas. And yet, what we got was this.
Adam, I am your only Adam.
A film described as one of the weakest efforts from both director and star. A movie that is no patch on their previous triumphs and delivers adrenaline only in drips and drabs. It leaves you asking the most baffling question of all. What did these cinematic titans see in such a beaten to death, cliched storyline to make it their grand reunion project? From sketchily drawn characters to a random background score, the film is a case study of failure.
You're goddamn right.
Today, we are doing a post-mortem. We are breaking down every misstep and every wrong turn to understand how a film with this much promise went so spectacularly off the rails, starting with the absolute core of the problems, a beaten-to-death storyline. Thug Life is a gangster film whose narrative is built from a box of worn-out spare parts. The plot boils down to a collection of the genre's most tired cliches: the aging Don in a turf war, the trusted lieutenant manipulated into betrayal, and a world where every major action is fueled by raw jealousy and a thirst for vengeance. This problem is compounded by the film's outright literal nature. There is no subtext here, no deeper meaning hiding beneath the surface. It's a what you see is what you get movie, presenting its grand themes of loyalty and honor without ever truly exploring the complex psychology behind them. For a project from a master filmmaker, it's a far cry from the cinematic richness that was expected. All of this leaves you with the single most baffling question surrounding the production: why this story? Which leads us to the next point, the post-interval collapse. Here's the thing about a weak foundation. A skilled crew can sometimes hide it, at least for a little while. And for the first half of Thug Life, the dazzling style and powerhouse performances almost pull off the impossible. They manage to paper over the cracks. What happens after the intermission when a story needs to escalate, not evaporate? That's when a weak foundation gives way to a full-scale collapse. And the second half of this film isn't just a slow decline, it's a catastrophic freefall. The film's entire structure unravels. The pacing, once leisurely but intriguing, becomes a slog. The narrative becomes lurching from one awkward scene to another, losing all sense of momentum and direction. It's a classic case of a film going completely haywire. All those interesting subplots that were set up, the determined cop trying to bring down the whole enterprise, the rival gangster's nephew seeking his own revenge, the complicated dynamic with the mistress, they are not just poorly resolved, they are effectively abandoned. These narrative threads are either drastically diluted or set aside for long stretches of the runtime, leaving the audience wondering why they were introduced in the first place. And this begs the question, if you strip away the character drama, the intense subplots, and the central relationship that was meant to anchor your film, what do you fill that space with? Well, Thug Life fills it with something so baffling, so over the top that it pushes the film from a simple disappointment into the realm of the absurd. It shifts focus to a man who apparently cannot be killed. This leads us to the next point, Shaktivel, the Superman gangster. So what do you do when your plot runs out of steam? When your character drama has been abandoned, you make your hero invincible. This is where Thug Life veers from a simple disappointment into the truly preposterous. We are not talking about a lucky escape or two from a tight spot. We are talking about a level of survival that completely defies logic. Shaktivel survives a deadly avalanche. He survives a fall into a snow-covered gorge. He survives a massive explosion. He survives numerous bullet wounds and stabbings. The issue isn't just that these scenes are unbelievable, it's that they derail the film's stakes. How can an audience feel any tension when the protagonist is essentially a superhero? Every threat, every rival, every bullet becomes meaningless because we know he will get back up. The film tries to have it both ways. It shows him with gashes and broken bones, portraying a gritty realism, but then after a brief pause, he returns to the action with renewed vigor, often stronger than he was before. This jarring tonal shift stretches the entire concept of the story to its absolute snapping point. He stops being a vulnerable crime lord, a man grappling with his past, and transforms into a modern-day knight with an invisible shield of dominance.
Ye Yamraj aur Meri beech ki kahani.
And when you elevate your protagonist to this godlike unkillable status, it has a devastating ripple effect. It casts a giant shadow over every other character in the story, because when one man is everything, everyone else becomes nothing. And that leads us directly to the film's next critical failure, its cast of hollow, wasted characters. When your main character becomes an unstoppable force of nature, the remaining people who are supposed to stand beside him or against him become cardboard cutouts. Beyond its two leads, the world of this film is populated by ghosts. A roster of incredibly talented actors trapped in sketchily etched roles that goes absolutely nowhere. Joju George, Trisha, Aishwarya Lakshmi, Nasser, Ali Fazal, Rohit Saraf, Mahesh Manjrekar. The credits go on and on just like their characters. Internal conflicts like the ambitious gangster played by Joju George or the simmering resentment of Shaktivel's brother played by Nasser are introduced, hinting at a complex web of betrayal only to be completely abandoned. Their potential for a tense family drama dissolving into nothing. The rival gang is set up as a formidable threat, but they quickly become predictable and weak, posing no credible danger to our invincible hero. They exist only to be easily outsmarted and dispatched toothless antagonists in a fight with no bite. The female characters fare no better, often reduced to silent sufferers or convenient plot devices rather than fully realized people with their own agency and motivations. Even when an actor makes their presence felt with a powerful silent performance, the script gives them nothing to do with it. This isn't just a case of weak supporting roles, it's a systematic failure that empties the film's universe of any real consequence. When the allies are hollow and the villains are harmless, the entire conflict feels artificial. It's a war with no soldiers, just one general fighting his own shadow. So the story is broken, the characters are empty, the tension is non-existent. In a situation this dire, you might hope that the pure cinematic craft could salvage the experience, that the style, the visuals, and the sound could create a mood so powerful it makes you forget the hollow script. But Thug Life had one final baffling disappointment in store, a misstep from a master who almost never gets it wrong. That brings us to the final misstep, which comes from a place no one expects: the music. A Mani Ratnam film isn't just a visual experience, it's a sonic one. The score, almost always from the legendary A.R. Rahman, is practically a character in itself, a force that drives the emotion and elevates the drama, but not in Thug Life. Here, the background score feels strangely disconnected. Instead of a powerful, cohesive soundtrack that enhances the mood, the music often feels random. It fails to match the tone of the scenes, sometimes feeling generic when it should be tense or intrusive when it should be subtle. It's the final nail in the coffin. When the story falters and the characters are thin, the score is the last line of defense, the one tool that can still make an audience feel something. The failure of the music to provide that emotional anchor leaves the film completely exposed, its hollow core visible for all to see. So when you step back and look at the wreckage, the answer to what went wrong with Thug Life becomes painfully clear. It wasn't just one single failure, it was a total systematic collapse. Thug Life will be remembered not for what it was, but for what it should have been. It stands as a cinematic cautionary tale about how legacy, talent, and anticipation are no match for a fundamentally broken script. It's a film that didn't fail because it aimed too low, but because it aimed for greatness with a compass that was broken from the very start. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this breakdown insightful, be sure to check out our scene breakdown for the movie Retro right here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.